Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Up and ready.
Me
Up
too,
and
drinking this coffee.
yes. Coffee, pregame, everything.
Right. Hey, whoever in the bushes, what's good? Good morning.
Okay, thanks for listening at work.
Hey, sis. Good morning.
What it do? We about to see what it do in these next 5 chapters.
Right, and it's getting
It's a,
good.
yeah, it's a good 40,
I wonder
40.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah. And we starting a
Cause
whole
I
new
don't
day.
think Mimi around no good influences at all.
I don't think so
And
either.
this engagement, I don't know about this.
At this point, she already turned out.
Yeah.
That's called turned out.
Good morning. Good morning, Bookie. How you doing, Aretha?
Good
Happy
morning.
holidays to you too. Is you throwing down for Christmas?
Am I? Nah.
Aretha.
Oh, I was like, nah. I'll go collect some.
Good morning in this service. She said,
You
most
throwing down?
definitely.
You throwing down? Of course, right?
You already got your menu all the way together?
What you say?
Asking her, do she already got her menu all the way together?
Hmm.
Okay, I will in service. Thank you. You talking about Cash App? Because I don't got super chats or nothing over here. This the backup page. You got Cash App nowadays? Because if you meant like super chats, I don't have them on this page in this service. That's good, Aretha.
This the backup page, right?
Yep, I ain't got no super stickers or nothing over here.
Yeah. This the backup for
Mm-hmm.
people on the boulevard that can come over to the porch.
The little
Out
avenues.
the street. This when we get out the streets, we on the porch on this channel, right?
No need a new refrigerator.
Right in the yard. Let's get close and have a barbecue type.
I ain't
Oh,
even go on my YouTube studios and see nothing about this page really because we ain't been over here in so long.
hmm.
I think it ain't even 300 people on this page yet.
This for when we want to get a little personal and just the close friends come in first and figure it out. We
Okay, go live sending you your gift. Okay, okay, it'll have to be on my other page. But what's today? Thursday. My day's been meshing together. I'll probably get on that other page in the next day or two. I'm gonna be working late tonight. Aretha said, I'm from New Orleans. We always do it big. Yeah, I know. I don't think Almost Famous hip. She just meeting people over here. Okay, in this service. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, what I was about to do real quick.
Yeah, I
So,
don't know people.
go
I'm
ahead.
just getting to know y'all.
Um,
This is the last part of the book. This is disc 5. This is the last disc of the book. We got today, and then we have one more day before we finish the book because we've been doing 5 chapters at a time.
mm-hmm. Yep. But after we finish, it's a little epilogue, ain't it?
Yeah, we're gonna finish that tomorrow.
Okay. So
Tomorrow.
this is real short chapters too?
This is 40 pages, and then this is like 40 pages, and then we'll have like 40 or 50 left. I didn't count the last few, but this is 40 something pages, and then we'll finish whatever needs to be read tomorrow in the next setting.
Okay. And then after that, that's when we'll get into our discussions and break different similarities and stuff down and let y'all give y'all opinion because a lot of people that's following got their own speculations and different stuff too, as
Yeah,
far as who they think folks could possibly be and everything else. And then I know y'all see all the different twists and turns on the stuff that's just going on with him anyway, as far as Diddy goes.
but what I really want to break down was her album songs because they had real producers
Yeah,
and
we need to look them up to see if they really similarities or something like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Hey, Marissa, good morning. And somebody came in that video from yesterday and said that they friend got a paperback of this book. So I'm wondering if the friend had this book since, for a while and just was sitting on it like some people, and then it just came back up with everything that's going on recently.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh yeah, because somebody did say something crazy on TikTok, like yeah. It
Because
was
some people did already have the book.
yeah, that's what
It's just
somebody
hard
said.
to
They
get them right now.
had to use copy for sale on my TikTok. They said that. And I was like, okay. Follow me on TikTok, almost famous 402. I have like almost I have like 11,400 followers over there. Almost famous 402. I get into a lot on there. But this 5 is called What You Wish For. You ready to get into it?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. What you wish for. Chapter 46. More money, more problems. 2 months after Mimi's engagement was announced, she was on her way to get her nails done when her mother called to break some matrimonial news to her. Angela, matrimonial news to her. Angela was marrying her, oh, matrimonial. Angela was marrying her piece of a shit boyfriend, Jerry. Jerry, the loser who borrowed $5,000 from Mimi and never paid it back or made a mention of repaying her. Jerry, who was all too happy to move into the new house in Toledo that Lamont was paying for without even chipping in for anything. Jerry, who Lamont hated with a passion. Jerry, who Angela said unbelievably was looking to retire soon. He was only 42. It wasn't like Jerry had an investment portfolio to support him for the rest of his days. Mimi had a pretty good idea who the bum was counting on to support his lazy ass. Marrying Angela was just a way to seal the deal. Well, Jerry had another thing coming. I should be happy for you, Mimi cried incredulously into her phone as the town car inched its way into midtown traffic. She rarely drove her Benz truck. Too much traffic and not enough parking. He's using you, and you better believe I'm not paying a dime for your wedding. They got into a long argument during which Angela mainly wailed pathetically, "He wants me. He wants me. Can't you be happy for me?" "Did he give you a ring?" Mimi asked, expecting the worst. "No," Angela said, fulfilling Mimi's low expectations. "But he's going to very soon." When Mimi finally hung up, just as the car pulled up to the Regine Nails, she was worked up in a real huff. She liked this nail salon because they catered mainly to upscale celebrity clientele. There were private rooms downstairs where one could get a spa manicure or pedicure done in one space. She wasn't about to get all glammed up just to have her nails done, but since she'd become a somebody, she couldn't roll up wearing sweats and no makeup at the local nail place like she used to do. There was always some nosy bitch who stated rudely and stared, obviously recognizing her, no doubt thinking she doesn't look hot in person. Even though all the manicurists at Regine were Asian, they wore name tags that read Marianne or Linda or Jane or Betty, and that's what they were called. Even though everyone knew damn well their names were Young Cho or something like that. They always accommodated Mimi when she had to switch up appointments at the last minute because her schedule had gotten crazy. Whenever she turned up, they all greeted her merrily. Mimi, Mimi, they sing like a pack of cooing doves. If she had recently been featured in a magazine, Linda or Jane or whoever would pull it out from the salon's extensive collections of glossies and wave it in her face. Look so pretty, Mimi. They had her 17 cover framed over the cash register. She had autographed it for them. To all my girls at Regine Nails, you are the bomb for real. Much love, Mimi. There have been other covers: Teen People, Vibe, Elle Girl, Allure, Maxim, The Source, styled by Miss Hilton Brim for their sexy issue. And right after the honeymoon, she'd be shooting the most valued cover of all, Vogue. Lamont almost ejaculated on himself when word came down that she'd gotten it. See, he said, enormously proud of himself. I told you we needed Andre. He helped us get that. It was going to be shot by Mario Testino for the couples issue. So Lamont would be featured in the pictures inside. He had already ordered 22 in the magazine's anticipation. He had just negotiated for the candies ad. He was in talks with Pepsi for a spokesperson's deal. If anyone catches you near a can of Coke, I'll beat your ass, he warned. And the deal with Revlon for a makeup and hair contract was about to go through. She was never allowed to wear her hair curly. Her long, straight blonde hair had become her trademark look. It had gotten so damaged and thin it was almost see through, so they had to put in extensions. She wanted to go back to brown, but her hair color was a major image change, and Lamont wanted to unveil her new look at exactly the right moment. Maybe in the Revlon ad, and he was talking to a garment manufacturer about getting her a clothing line. He was thinking of calling it Mimi Jeans. All this was great news for her because she hadn't seen a penny from her album. Even though it had sold 1.5 million copies, all those were coupables. And they were discovered at the last minute that Daryl had used a bunch of samples that he hadn't cleared permission for. It was too late to go through the proper channels to get the rights since the album had already been done and scheduled for release. So they had to leverage. So they had no leverage when they tried to settle with the artist whose music Daryl had sampled. It wound up being very expensive. It's a stick up, Lamont had fumed. Witchy got fired over that. 2 months later, after sufficient groveling, Lamont hired him back. The last year felt like a blur of promotional appearances, shows, television interviews, photo shoots. She had gone on a 30 cities tour with all the guys on the TLE label. It was called Triple Arch Presents The Beauties and the Beast. The Beauty and the Beast. Billy the Kid, whose album Wanted had come out just at the end of the tour, did spot dates with his posse, the Outlaw Gang. Toya came to do their hair, and Kiko was doing their makeup. Then she had her assistant was doing her makeup. Then she had her assistant Janifa, and Alonzo was there holding everything down. And her bodyguard Anthony, who went by the more moronic name Big Ant, nickname Big Ant, followed her everywhere like a 330-pound black cloud. Some pampering was exactly what Mimi needed right now, but she couldn't imagine sitting still for 2 hours. So she asked the driver to turn around and take her all the way back downtown. She wanted to go home. She needed Lamont. She called her regular girl, Betty, apologizing for canceling and rescheduled for 3 days later. With all the wedding plans, it was the first day she thought she'd be able to squeeze in some time to get her silk wrap repaired. She tried to call Lamont at the apartment, but she kept getting the answering service. When she left earlier to meet Ali C for brunch, Lamont had already gone out to play basketball with the guys. Since it was Sunday, Carlos had the day off, so she couldn't just call the car and get Carlos to find him like she usually did. She tried his cell, but it went straight to voicemail. Where was he? She was hoping she could She was hoping he could talk some sense into Angela. She decided to call someone who she knew would share her feelings about her mother's news, Vanessa. She said as soon as her future sister in law answered, "You won't believe this. My mother just told me she's getting married." To that hideous low class slob, Vanessa asked in disgust. The very one. Can you believe it? Mimi felt better already. Vanessa had met Angela and Jerry when they'd been invited to join the whole Jackson clan in the Bahamas for Mother's Day. It was quite a mix. They stayed at the Atlantis Hotel and Casino. Mama Jackson didn't seem to mind Angela, but she loathed Jerry Morelli on sight. For dinner at the first on the first night with the fashion conscious family, Jerry showed up sporting a wide collared powder blue shirt with a ratty tan polyester leisure suit. Since Mimi made no secret of her contempt for Jerry, no one else felt the need to befriend him. Only Alonzo, feeling sorry for him, tried to make conversation. After they learned he was a used car salesman, they liked him even less, if that was possible. After dinner, Angela and Jerry watched in awe as Mama Jackson, sitting at the head of the table, swayed in white linen Donna Karan caftan and palazzo pants that she'd ordered at Bergdorf's trunk show, received her Mother's Day gifts. As if approaching the Pope, one by one, each family member humbly walked up to the confer his or her offering and give Mama some sugar, though Vanessa only submitted to a drive-by of an air kiss. There were no joint gifts. Vanessa, Alonzo, Pedro, Lamont, Mimi, and in absentia, Imani, who acquired all the gifts and signed the cards with the given names, made separate tributes. After the first gift was unwrapped, Angela and Jerry caught on that they were to applaud like audience members on The Price is Right, as everyone else was doing. The last to play tribute was Pedro, who handed Grandma a picture of the new silver Mercedes that would be waiting for her when she got home. Mama exclaimed, "I'm so blessed." The Atlantis grounds were extensive and everyone ran around for the long weekend doing their own thing, meeting up in the evenings for dinner. Boy, did Alonzo stay in that casino. He was at the high roller tables almost the entire time. One day he won $75,000, and Vanessa immediately pocketed some of his chips and cashed them in and bought a bunch of stuff at the Gucci store in the hotel's high end shopping plaza. She was thoughtful enough to buy Angela a bag with some of Alonso's winnings. By the end of the trip, all the rest of the chips he won were back in the welcoming hands of the Atlantis casino. Mama tried her luck at the dollar machines, hitting twice, but mainly she spent a lot of quality time with her grandbaby. She doted on him, often carrying the 4-year old around on her good hip as if he were a newborn baby. With the whole family there, Mama declared it ridiculous for Vanessa to bring along one of her nanny trio. But since Alonzo, who usually took PJ with him everywhere, were in a trance when he got within 10 paces of a gambling spot, Mama's watchful eye was needed. Even when Vanessa was present with her son at the beach or by the pool, Mama had to stay alert so PJ wouldn't turn up drowned. 2 days in, everything was going well. Angela wasn't annoying Mimi so much because she was following Jerry around. They went on some sightseeing tours together, and Mimi spotted them one afternoon walking hand in hand down the beach. She wanted to vomit. She could tell Jerry thought he hit the fucking jackpot. He was being way nicer to Angela than Mimi had ever seen, but it wasn't genuine. Angela might not see it, but Mimi sure the hell did. Then when it came time to check in, the jig was up for Jerry. They all assembled in the lobby to go to the airport while Lamont settled the bill. The total was astronomical, which wasn't a shock, but it was a little more than he expected. He scanned the itemizations and thought he found the discrepancy. Lamont quietly pointed it out to the manager, who had been very nice all week, giving their group top-notch service. After a long hush conference in the corner of the lobby, it came to light that Jerry had, over the course of the 4 days, charged $20,000 in chips at the casino to Lamont's open line of credit. Mimi didn't think it possible for Lamont to escalate to such a level of stark raving madness, but he revved up real quick. He got right up in Jerry's face, waving the 880-page hotel bill. You motherfucking swindler, he snarled. Angela was quivering with embarrassment and confusion. Jerry hadn't told her what he'd done. When we got here, you said anything you want, Jerry sputtered. Alonzo had to physically restrain Lamont from knocking Jerry the fuck out in the middle of Atlanta's lobby, and restraining his brother was no small feat because Lamont was still fighting the battle of the bulge and losing. He hadn't even brought his swimming trunks because he would not make a spectacle of himself near a beach or pool. Everyone was charging stuff, Jerry argued. Yeah, you said it was okay. That was true. Clothes purchased at the hotel shops, drinks ordered by the hotel pool, meals eaten at one of the 8 dining spots on the property, pay-per-view movies watched in the rooms, chips needed to have fun in the casino were all charged to their rooms and billed back to Lamont's Amex Amex Centurion card. It was a long-standing rule of the Jackson family. Lamont always paid. Trouble was, Jerry wasn't part of the Jackson family. Lamont tried to chill. People were staring. Alonzo let go of him, and Lamont walked over to Jerry. He got very close, put out his hand, and said, "Give me my fucking money." Your brother lost 75 grand, Jerry cried, sinking further into the abyss. Hold the baby, Mama yelped, handing Pedro off to Vanessa. Alonzo had to restrain his mother as she tried to slap Jerry with her newly purchased straw hat. This was his money, Lamont raged. That was his money, Lamont raged. That was one thing Lamont appreciated about Zoe. Lamont paid his brother's salary and took care of him in a big way. But Zoe never took advantage. Alonzo never asked for anything, never expected anything, which is why Lamont generously gave it to him. And even if it wasn't, he's my brother, he lowered his voice. Now give me my fucking money. I don't have it, Jerry said, disturbingly unrepentant. I lost it at the casino. All of it, Lamont's pressed, trying to figure out if this guy had huge balls or if he was slightly retarded. Angela started crying. Yep, Jerry said, then gave Lamont a hey, no hard feelings punch in the arm. Sorry, big guy. Jerry Manelli didn't know squat about rap or hip hop or whatever they called it. When the local papers would do stories about Mimi, they will always mention Lamont Jackson, describing him as a rap impresario. Impresario? What was that? Made them sound like some kind of wizard or something. Jerry looked the word up in the dictionary. It had two definitions. One who sponsors or produces entertainment, especially the director of an opera company, or two, a manager or producer. Opera, that was way off. And the second definition didn't make this guy sound like such a hot shot. All Jerry knew was that Lamont Jackson was one big black dude and big wad of greenbacks and the man wasn't afraid to spend it. Mimi was living high off the hog in his big penthouse in New York, wearing a ring that looked like an Elizabeth Taylor cast off, and she become famous just like the black dude had promised. And did Mimi really deserve it? Not in Jerry's opinion. Not the way she treated him, the only father figure she ever known. Lamont wouldn't be hurting for the money, and Jerry thought when a man would say anything you want, he could stick by his word. You lost it all? Lamont repeated nastily as Alonzo handed Mama hustled Mama out to the limo. Figures just like the figures just like the looser you are. A darkness clouded Lamont's eyes. I paid for you and your girlfriend to fly out here first class, he whispered ominously. I put you up in a 5-star hotel, fed you, entertained you, and treated you better than anyone else ever will. And you turn around and try to rape me? Lamont squinted at this woefully ignorant man who had burned the bridge that could have taken him to the promised land. Look, he said, putting a firm hand on Jerry's slender shoulder. You've had your fun. Now go back to Toledo and stay there. Do not call my house. Do not even think about calling my house. Do not show your face to me again. You have disrespected me, and that will happen only once. Lamont shook Angela's hand. Take care, Angela. Then he gave Jerry's shoulder a quick, sharp pound. Goodbye. Lamont turned and walked out to the limo. The hotel manager hurried behind him, trying to absolve the hotel of any wrongdoing. The manager returned a few minutes later to find Jerry and Angela looking disoriented in an enormous lobby. He told them abruptly they would have to take the next shuttle bus and ushered them out to a side door. You could have heard a pin dropped in the limo. Lamont was obviously fuming, and no one wanted to fan that fire. Mama finally broke the tension by exclaiming, "And that's why I stick to the dollar slots, children." Everyone, including Lamont, laughed. Mimi felt horrifyingly humiliated, but Lamont told her on the plane not to worry about it. It wasn't her fault. And he said he could imagine he would continue paying the mortgage on Angela's new house because it wasn't Angela's fault either. He didn't think Angela was malicious, just clueless. Jerry's name never crossed his lips on the whole flight home, and no one had mentioned Jerry's existence in Lamont's presence ever since. But Mimi was going to have to mention it today. As the car pulled up to the apartment, Mimi couldn't imagine how he would react to Angela's hideous news. And that's the end of chapter 46. 47. Nothing but a G thing. Mimi vaguely recalled that Lamont was supposed to be getting a massage today. He hated to be disturbed during his twice weekly rub downs. He said it was the only time he had to relax. Too bad because he wasn't going to be disturbed today. This nonsense with Jerry was enough to make her pull out her hair, her damaged hair. As she stomped up to the main floor, she could hear new age meditation music wafting down to the gym upstairs. From the gym upstairs, Olga gave her a massage occasionally. She had magic fingers for sure, but that music was the worst. During her sessions, Mimi picked out the CDs, something low key like India Ari or Sade. Lamont had an extensive collection of soothing instrumental music upstairs in the gym. The thing Mimi found most surprising about him was that he never listened to hip hop except when the album needed his approval. Mimi had become a certified hip hop head. Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac, Nas, Eminem, all of that. She knew every word and pumped her shit nonstop. Lamont didn't like that. He was always turning down the volume in the house or putting in his Jill Scott CDs. "You listen to too much hip hop," he once said, sounding like an out of touch parent speaking to his teenager. "Who are you to talk?" Mimi scoffed. "You're Mr. Hip Hop. I know the difference between art and life. You want to live those lyrics?" "Whatever," she said. She was just He was just mad because she was always joking that 50 Cent was her baby daddy. Then he said huffily, "I should let you go. I should go let you go live with one of those rappers for a week. Let one of them niggas beat you up, beat your ass. Then you'll be coming running back. Lamont, save me." For Lamont, hip hop was a capitalist venture, not an idle pleasure. Now she climbed the winding staircase, and even though the calming strains of that muzak were getting louder, she was feeling anything but tranquil. She knew Lamont was going to be furious about this news too. He hated Jerry as much as she did. She got to the top step and opened her mouth to launch into a tirade about Jerry, not caring at all she was ruining the mood. She took in the scene before her and blinked rapidly, her mouth agape. No sounds came out. Lamont was lying on his back on the Gucci massage table. He didn't see her, but Olga did. Scooped over Lamont, her icy blue eyes met Mimi's. Olga's one free hand, the one not busy massaging the shaft of Lamont's erect beep, rushed to her lips and she gasped, "Oops." Mimi stood frozen on the top step until Lamont craned his neck and looked her way. Then she turned, raced down the steps, and ran into their bedroom. Without thinking, she stepped into the steam shower and crouched down in the corner, pulling her knees up to her chest. She didn't cry. She didn't tremble. A deathly calm swept over her, and she just sat there. She could hear Lamont calling her name. He sounded like he was right outside the bathroom, but then the sound of his voice became distant. He must not have seen her go in. Good. Let him search every room in this place looking for her. She had said nothing. She had nothing to say. She looked down at her left hand. She'd taken her ring off this morning because she was going to get her nails done. Perfect. It was going to stay that way. There was no way he could talk her out of it. All those rumors she heard were true, and she'd been away so much. During the Beauty and the Beast tour, Lamont flew in only for the fun cities. Miami, LA, Atlanta. He was always so busy, but he called her every night. Now she could only imagine what he'd been doing when she wasn't around. So why he make her have all that phone sex? Well, there was not going to be any wedding, and to think she had almost signed that horrible prenup Lamont had drawn up. It said they would each keep whatever assets they possessed when they entered the marriage. But she had been working and working and still had no assets. And all she had was a triple large debt. Lamont soon returned wearing just his Nike mesh shorts and stood confounded in the middle of the bathroom until he squinted at the dimpled glass of the steam shower. He pulled the door open. Baby, what are you doing? Mimi pulled her arms tighter around her legs, gazing uneasily at the tile. What are you doing in there? Lamont repeated. What are you doing up there? She said in a faraway voice that sounded like it was coming from an invisible girl on the other side of the palatial bathroom. I was getting a massage, he said evenly, stepping inside the shower and letting the door close behind him. Get up. She stayed on the ground gazing at the tile. I don't know what you think you saw, but still not looking up, she said in a detached voice. I saw her bending over your heart with her mouth wide open. That was not what you saw, Lamont said, hovering over her. She gazed up at him. What? Lamont held firm. That's not what you saw. Don't tell me what I didn't see. I know what I fucking saw, she shouted, looking up at his massive hairy chest. She was about to suck yo. No, she wasn't, he snapped. And don't start accusing me of things based on speculation. You have no concrete evidence. Oh, please, she snorted, mad. She scrambled to her feet. Okay, well, here's what I do know for sure, she fumed, an inch from his nose. Your heart was in her hand, so maybe it wasn't a blowjob yet, but it was a hand job for sure. He stepped back a little until his bare back touched the shower wall. His shoulders fell in a resigned pose. It wasn't a hand job, he said. It was a full body massage. When he had the nerve to smile, she violently shrieked, I hate you. There was a long silence until all the rage and shock and hurt and humiliation she was feeling came rushing out in a torment of tears. Lamont tried to wrap his powerful arms around her. She began to frantically swat him away, and he felt one of her nails catch him on the cheek. He continued steadily toward her through a fury of slaps until she pressed tightly against his chest. Don't say that, he breathed anxiously. Don't ever say that. You love me, and I love you. She's been coming here twice a week the whole time I've known you, she whimpered through her gasping sobs. Don't make something out of nothing, he said in a stern voice, holding her in a suffocating embrace. He stroked her long hair while she buried her face in his shoulder. That Russian bitch is nothing. She's the help. She was the help. She's gone and she's never coming back. He kissed her on the back of her head, squeezing her closely. You mean everything to me. I love you, baby. I love you and only you. Her body went limp, and they slid down on the floor with her arms still wrapped around her. With his arms still wrapped around her. Daddy's here, he whispered urgently and repeatedly. He scooped her up until she was curled on his lap, sobbing uncontrollably. Daddy loves you. He gently covered her face with kisses, and she cried and cried and cried and cried. That's the end of chapter 47. Chapter 48 is like that. You're not on my schedule, Lamont said, chomping the green apple, and I have to get to the airport, so I hope this is important. Someone closed the door to Lamont's office. 23-year-old, round face and smooth pale skin with the silky black ponytail. Women bought his debut album, I Am, because they liked him. He was cute, baby face. Guys bought this album because they liked his clever lyrics. His album told a complete story from a beginning to an end. Every song, every chapter, it had gone double platinum. They had this party at Mr. Chow where someone asked why Lamont answered, "Because you're Chinese, nigga." Some informed him he was Vietnamese. Lamont said, "Well, same difference." Lamont had been touting him as the Chinese Eminem, but after that he amended it to the Asian Eminem to make him happy and cover all demographics. Yeah, it is important, some said, and took a seat on the sofa. His lyrics were raw and aggressive, and he had an angry persona. But in person, he spoke in a near whisper. So hit me with it, Lamont said impatiently. He was flying to LA today, last minute trip. There was some problem with the soundtrack that they were supposed to be doing. The producers were talking about giving it to Bad Boy. He had to go smooth things over. Lamont, I came here to tell you that, Son began nervously. Lamont took a loud chomp of the apple, his mind wandering to thoughts of his wedding, which was in less than 2 weeks away. 600 guests at the plaza. Jesse Jackson was doing the ceremony. Mama was holding everything down so well that he told her she should become a wedding planner. And Style had the exclusive on the star-studded affair, but there would be lots of additional press. There better be for all the money he was spending. The tab was close to 1 million. But with all the press, he was writing a lot more in business, writing it off as a business expense. Thank God Mama didn't know that Mimi was barely speaking to him after catching him with Olga. But Lamont was trying his damnedest to patch things over before Mama sensed any tension. This quick trip to LA might be the best thing for him and Mimi. It would give them some space. But he was back. It would be full speed ahead to the big day, and then happily ever after. What did you say? Lamont asked because he hadn't been there paying any attention. I want to come out, some repeated. Of what? Lamont said. He tossed the apple core at the aluminum trash can under his desk and missed. I want to come out publicly. I'm not getting you, Lamont said, bending underneath to grab the apple core. Monty, I'm gay. From behind the desk, Lamont's face slowly became visible again. He hand grabbed he hand grabbed at the mahogany desk as he his hand grabbed at the mahogany desk as he steadied himself and fell back into the chair. He sat for a moment, staring blankly at some. Then it looked as if he were going to doing an improvisation acting exercise, and, and the teacher had just said, You have just received terrible and shocking news. Go." In a matter of 5 seconds, his eyes registered astonishment, horror, disbelief, sadness, confusion. Was he hearing things? He thought someone, his multi platinum selling artist, had just told him that he was gay? Monty, son repeated, I'm gay. Lamont's distant gaze became more direct. So am I, he seethed, his unforgiving eyes demanding, Take it back. I am getting married in 2 weeks and I'm about to take over the head spot at Augusta. I'm happier than a motherfucker. Someone let out a relieved chuckle. So you're cool with it? No, Lamont said, stiff as a board. I was joking because I know you're joking. I'm not. Yes, Lamont told him, you are. Listen, yo, some said. I wanted to tell you first, but I'm thinking of going on Wendy's show and coming out. This guy wouldn't let it drop. Lamont got up and went around to the front of his desk and sat. Some, how are you gay? I know you, Money. You are not gay. How do you know? You don't act gay. How does a gay person act? You know, Lamont dangled a hand daintily, swishy, effeminate, gay. I act like that in private. You do? Then a furious, no, you don't. No, some said, smiling. He said that only to get a rise out of Lamont. I act the same way in private as I act with you. Some gays are femme, some are macho and masculine as you. Lamont cringed at the comparison, which he was dis which he was disinclined to believe. You know how I know you're not gay? he said, refusing to move forward with the acceptance. How? Lamont hustled over to his CD collections and grabbed it. I am. He started waving it. This, he boomed. You got all these songs on here talking about how you hate faggots. I never said I hated fags. He didn't. Lamont had listened to it fully only once, but people had written about it, the homophobic lyrics. There had been controversy about it that helped some get a lot of press. Is it going to sell records? It did. So it was all good. I was just using the word to flip it, you know. No, I didn't know. There's a lot of self-hatred in the homosexual community, some said. Did you just say homosexual? Lamont murmured. Yeah, you know, guys who listen to hip hop, dress hip hop, mess around with other dudes but claim they ain't gay. They're on the down low. They are fags. Lamont turned away as if the scene of a gory accident, as if he saw the scene of a gory accident. Look, money, he said, waving the cease and desist hand. I do not need a critical analysis of the modern day homosexual dead that. Did you know that kind of behavior contributes to the spread of HIV infection in the African American community? And no, and I don't want to know, Lamont shouted, cringing at the mention of the disease. He was being pushed too far, and you ain't African American, kid, so don't worry about it. I'm just saying that I use the word fact to flip it. You know how you and your boys say nigga, but it ain't a slur when you say it to each other. Then it's a term of endearment. I want to do the same thing for the word fact. You thought this all out, Lamont said, anger charging up to fury. This is gonna be your fucking cause now? I feel like I'm living a false self, yo. What the fuck are you talking about? Lamont screamed. He threw the CD across the room, the plastic case cracking against the television. What the fuck are you saying to me? Hearing the commotion, Imani opened the door. Not now, Lamont screamed, veins bulging. Imani had barely gotten the door open before she closed it again, wondering what wondering what had gotten Lamont so rattled. I feel like I need to represent for all the homie thugs, some said quietly but firmly holding his ground. Lamont threw himself down on the couch in a big, desperate heap. The hell you do, he seethed, and was this close to adding faggot, but he caught himself. He'd been to many AIDS charity events, a GLAD event once because Irv Green had invited him, but he didn't condone that shit. It was disgusting, repulsive, unnatural. It went against God's word. Some looked at Lamont breathing hard and wondered what was really going through his mind. It didn't say it, I didn't say it before because I knew I would catch heat. But now my album is out. People are feeling me. I've proven myself. I think Wendy's show will be the move. Not the move, Lamont countered immediately. Not at all. Why not? Why wait for somebody to out me? I should out myself. Who's going to out you? Lamont asked in a panic. People know about this? Some said. Like who? My man, for one. Your man? Lamont gulped hard and leaned his head back on the sofa. He rubbed his eyes with his right hand and massaged his Buddha belly with his left. He gained 10 pounds in the last month, but it wasn't like his normal weight gain. It felt weird, always slightly nauseous. So he eat, thinking it would make his stomach feel better, but then he just feel worse. The food would sit there in his gut. He was constipated and he was feeling more and more tired, sluggish, so he didn't work out at all. Then a week ago, he started getting sharp pains in his stomach. It got so bad, Mimi wanted to take him to the hospital. He went to sleep, curled up in bed, feeling like someone was stabbing him. In the morning, he was in so much pain, he went straight to his doctor. Sure, it was an ulcer. Dr. Linden said it was a stress related gastrointestinal problem called gastritis. That was why he felt so bloated, like a like a helium filled balloon ready to lift off. Doc told him to put two cement blocks underneath the head of his bed to set it on a slant, set it on a slant. That would help him keep food down at night so he could digest it completely. And he couldn't eat anything late at night. Imani got the cement blocks and set it all up perfectly. He could feel himself sliding down the mattress in his sleep And the next morning, he and Mimi were halfway off the bed, the slightly tucked top sheet cradling Dr. Annette. The doctor put him on antibiotics and told him he had to change his eating habits. He had to cut out spicy foods and anything acidic like orange juice. The most alarming of the doctor's orders was to quit eating chocolate. Instead, he was supposed to take in lots of roughage like raw carrots, salad, anything that made a crunching sound. Hence the apple, his third of the day. The antibiotics are going to give you some immediate relief, Dr. Linden said, and changing your diet will help a lot. The gastritis could develop into something worse if you don't. But the best advice I can give you is to relax. I know that's hard for you to do, Lamont, but try. Your body is telling you something. Lamont tried to take the advice. He took a few breaths. He took a few breaths. You have a man, he said evenly. Yeah, I told you I'm gay. Yeah, we've established that, he snapped. So much for calm. But I thought you meant, like, in theory, you're a practicing homosexual? Lamont couldn't mask his disgust. Yeah, we're in a committed relationship. Our 1 year anniversary is next week. And you think he might sell you out to the tabloids? No, some said defensively. His man was loyal. But there are people who know about us. How many? I don't know, a few. Wait a second, Lamont said, hopefully remembering something that gave him hope that this was a prank. Don't you have a baby with some black chick? Yeah, I do, but that was, some shook his head. What? Lamont yelled. That was when I was trying to be something I wasn't. That was before I came out to myself. I was playing a role. No, 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 Lamont shouted, the full implications of this disaster sinking in. This is not a good idea. This coming out thing, stay in. Why? I want to represent for all the. Shut up, Lamont shouted. Some sighed. Lamont, I came to tell you first, out of respect. I could have just gone and done it without telling you. And I would have had your gay ass killed, Lamont thought. My God, he'd been duped. He would be the laughing stock in the industry. What was he going to do? His stomach had just been starting to feel better after the first days of antibiotics. Now it was on fire. Stab, stab, stab. He had to calm down. He had to convince some that this was going to hurt him. He had to talk him out of it by any means necessary. Some, you really think people are going to accept this? You think you're going to go on Wendy's show, tell the whole world you're a homo thug, and niggas are gonna throw pink rice all over you when you walk down the streets? He shook his head and spat. Hell no. All the ninjas who bought your album, your fans, they're gonna feel duped. This shit is gonna ruin your career. Torpedo it. Blow it right the fuck out before your eyes. You're a great lyricist. This is your first album. There could be many more, but not if you do this. Trust me, some things are better left unsaid. Some look nervous. You really think so? I'm 100% sure. You want to be gay? Then do your thing, kid, but do it in private. Thanks, some said bitterly. Or should I say, faggot? Some flinched and tried to utter an objection, but Lamont spoke over him. Term of endearment, right? He smirked at some. You're trying to redefine the word. Start with me. But live your gay life, Lamont continued, but keep that shit behind closed doors. Shut, airtight. I'm not gonna tell you anything about this conversation. I'm not gonna tell anyone because I want you to see. I want to see you go on and do big things because I care about your career, even if you don't. I don't know. Some said wearily. I feel like I'm lying. I really think coming out would be okay. What do you want, some? Lamont snapped. Money? You want money? Name your price. I don't want money, some said. It's not about that. I want to represent for all the. Stop saying that. Lamont got up and started looking around the office for something. He looked under the desk, under the lampshade. Some watched him curiously. Then said, what are you doing? This is one of those hidden camera shows, isn't it? Am I on the MTV show? What's it called? Punked? Lamont said, punked? He repeated. laughing at this unintended joke. Then he shouted into the air to the cameras. He hoped we're hooked up in his office. That was a good one, Ashton. Some was shocked to see Lamont coming unglued. He could tell Lamont was really waiting for Ashton Kutcher to race through the door with the Imani with the full film crew. It's not a joke, some said cautiously. Think about your kid, Lamont said, realizing he had just made a complete fool of himself. He had to get a grip. You have a little boy, right? Yeah. How old? He's 2. What's going to happen when he goes to school? Everybody's going to say, your daddy's a fag. Some reluctantly agreed. Yeah, it's going to be hard. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it, but I have to show him that you got to be honest about who you are. No, Lamont stressed. You're going to ruin his life and yours. I'm not so sure about that. Fly. Okay, Monty roared back. After he hurriedly threw a few things into his leather satchel, we have to talk about this more. I don't think you really thought this through. Let me strategize on it and I'll get back to you. Cool, some said and left. Lamont felt around in the back of his bottom desk drawer for the stash of contraband chocolate. He pulled out the Snickers and tore at the wrapping. He bit it in half. Someone is a Vietnamese faggot, he thought, savoring the taste of the chocolate and caramel swirling around his tongue. Jesus H. Christ, what is the world coming to? That's the end of chapter 48. Chapter 49 is called All in My Grill. The next day, Mimi walked into Regine Nell's in a foul mood. The Olga incident was still weighing heavily on her mind. The night of the incident, she was so exhausted and wrecked, she had just fallen asleep with Lamont stroking her hair. She hadn't even told him about her mother getting married. Angela and Jerry will probably never make it to the altar anyway. Then 2 nights ago, before Lamont had flown to LA, they had argued ferociously. She threw the ring at him and told him the wedding was off. He refused to accept that. He swore up and down that nothing had happened with Olga. Did he think she was born yesterday? She made him answer for every rumor she had ever heard, and he swore on his father's life that he had never cheated on her and never would. Why not your mother's life? She asked. He answered her question with a question. Mimi, why do people go on in all these reality shows? He was always trying to change the subject when he caught him doing some dirt. This was a big departure that it caught her by. This was such a big departure that it caught her by off guards. She said, "Why?" Because they want to be famous, he said. And why do women go on these stupid shows like The Bachelor? Because they want to find a man. A rich man, he said. With me, you got both. He always knew how to make her laugh when he didn't want to. Then he hugged her and started singing their song. He told her that he loved her. He told her she didn't even have to sign the prenup. She didn't. And then he said that it would break his heart if she ever left him. He was close to tears, what she thought was a physical impossibility for Lamont. So she forgave him and told him she loved him too. She didn't believe him, but she forgave him, and they both got down on the floor and looked for the ring. Truth was, her feet were turning ice cold. She was only 22. Was that too young to say I do? She she spent her life trying to be responsible. She never been able to go to college dance or date or be wild or do the things Lena, Vanessa, Jordan, and most every other girl she knew had done. She had to ask herself, was Lamont really the one? Would this be forever? It scared her that Lamont was in control of her heart, her career, her finances, her entire life. And as much as she tried to convince herself that she could trust him, catching him with Olga was like a hard slap in the face that said, wake up, girl. And she wanted to have kids one day, but Lamont acted like he was allergic to children. The question of having a family came up When they went to premarital counseling, Mama made them go to see her pastor, Reverend Trufant, at Emmanuel Baptist in Brooklyn. The things Reverend Trufant had to say really gave Mimi pause. She could tell Lamont wasn't paying attention. He was probably tallying up how many pages they were going to get in style. Now she wanted to go back and see Trufant, see how where Reverend Trufant stood on full body massages. She told Vanessa, who not surprisingly wasn't very sympathetic. So, she said, oral sex is not sex. Don't worry about it. Vanessa, Mimi, well, what if you caught Alonzo getting a blowjob from someone else in your apartment? I think, oh goody, less work for me, Vanessa had said. Kiko was more understanding. Oh girl, I'm sorry, she said sadly, like she'd seen it coming all along. Then she advised, get jewelry, treasury bills, real estate, art, anything that will appreciate in value. Now is the time to strike. What Mimi had thought, she didn't want any art. She wanted someone to commiserate with her. She wanted someone to say Lamont was an asshole and that she had every right to be filled with rage. But she wasn't going to find that someone within Lamont's circle of friends. In a desperate bid for sympathy, she told her mother about it. Men cheat sometimes, Angela said. Angela had rationalized. He loves you and you're getting married. If he said he was sorry, just forgive him and forget it. She should have known that would be Angela's response. She had an urge to call Jordan, but she was afraid of hearing her say, I told you so. She found she was really missing Lena. They hadn't spoken 10 months. She saw her once at Swirl, but they stayed on opposite sides of the room. Toya said, if you don't want to marry him, then don't. Like it was the simplest thing in the world. But I love him, Mimi had said reflexively. That doesn't mean you have to marry him, Toya said. But we're having 600 guests at the plaza. Tell them it's off, Toya said. I can't, Mimi said. I can't. It will all work out. He's very sorry and he's on his best behavior now. Now, Toya said. Mimi quickly ended the call because she realized she was sounding like Angela. Toya had really been there for Mimi through thick and thin. Unlike Keisha, who since Mimi's big success had turned into a hater numero uno and was pregnant with her second child by her drug dealing fiance. Toya had understood when Mimi told her that Lamont had already hired backup singers for her album. Toya had given up on singing entirely, and Mimi paid for her to get her license to do hair. And when Toya came out on tour with her, she made sure Toya got everything that she wanted. Celebrity hairstylists. It was like old times, except now they were riding high in first class all the way. And Toya didn't make a fuss that she wasn't asked to be an actual bridesmaid in the wedding, just an attendant. Lamont had 5 groomsmen, and there was a group decision made by Lamont and Mama about who Mimi's 5 bridesmaids would be. Vanessa, Alice, Jordan, Kiko, and Imani made the final cut. Lamont explained that there was no room for Toya in the wedding party when Mimi protested. But Mimi knew the real reason was that Toya was a size 14, not a 4 or under like the other girls. Lamont all but said he didn't think she was pretty enough and she ruined the wedding photos. Wasn't the wedding day supposed to be the bride's big moment? In this case, it seemed the groom was excited enough for the both of them. To her, planning the wedding felt like a second job and a thankless one. Mama had just called and gotten all over her case about another dress fitting. They'd have to have the big white monster altered 8 times. Mimi just wanted to go on a long vacation. Just her and Lamont. They had gone to St. Bart's for the holidays, but at least 20 other people had been there. People they saw every night in New York. And Nate and Jordan had stayed in their villa with them. For their honeymoon, they were going to Hawaii for only 5 days. Lamont said she had to get back to work on her new album, for which she had already recorded a few tracks. And she could never go anywhere by herself, just have time alone. Big Ant was waiting outside right now in the car. All these things converged like a 5-car pileup and put her into a foul mood. Then, before she could dip down to the private room with her manicures and frown was all up in her grill. Hello, Mimi, Anne said. Mimi greeted her coolly. Hey, excited about the wedding? Uh-huh. I heard the Time Style section is doing a story on it. Uh-huh. An awkward silence. Then, you look like you've put on a little weight. Anne didn't mean it as an insult, but as a compliment. Mimi had been working too much and not eating enough. After the tour, she gone right back into the studio to do her remix album. She has sessions scheduled for the next several nights at the Hit Factory, even though the final wedding preparations were going at breakneck speed. But luckily, she'd been working with Gemini, her buddy. Since she couldn't go out on town, what was what with all the wedding stuff, Gemini had flown in New York for her. These days, she had to remind herself to eat. Her normal weight was 125, but she lost almost 20 pounds, and on her 5'9" frame, that was not a good look. A month ago, there had been a picture of her on the cover of Globe. It was snapped as she was coming out of Starbucks in LA, near near where she'd been recording. Vente soy, Vente soy mocha in one hand, cigarette in the other. She looked haggard, bony, except for her boobs, which looked like two grapefruits stuck on her skeletal frame, and basically tore up from the floor up. Is a shredded in a shredded denim mini tank top and flip flops. The tabloid headline screamed, 103 pounds, Mimi, eat or die. Inside the article quoted eyewitness and insiders who said she barely ate, only drank coffee, and chain smoked cigarettes. All true. In New York, she had to sneak the cigarettes on the terrace and hide the butts. Lamont said they made the apartment smell, made her smell, and they were bad for her voice. It was speculated that she had an eating disorder. Not true. The Globe quoted some body image expert saying she desperately needs to seek professional help. If she continues to lose weight, she's courting death. Thanks, hun. But she weighed herself that night and she was 103 pounds. Exactly. How had they known? That was so like Prasan to comment on it, but out of the comment on it, she decided to put her on blast. Reading the Globe, are we the Globe and wait, let me start that part over. Sorry, y'all. That was so like Prasan to comment on it, but not to comment on it. She decided to put her on blast. Reading the Globe, are we, Anne? The Globe, Anne said primly. What do you mean? You mean what I mean, Mimi whispered aggressively. She wanted to go all in on her. Bitch, do you think these motherfuckers care if the shit they print is accurate? She could picture Prasan clutching her pearls and falling out in the middle of the Regine nails at the use of obscenities. Instead, Mimi glared and condescendingly as if she could snap. Stop reading that trash, Anne. It's beneath you. Well, Anne exclaimed, her hand rushing to her chest in a flustered gesture. I have no idea what you mean. Then, as if she were accepting an apology that Mimi had never offered, she said, I know this must be a very stressful time. Good luck with everything. For shizzle, my nizzle, Mimi said, intentionally leaving Anne bewildered. Following Betty downstairs, she smiled for the first time in days. Double parked. In his Range Rover outside Lux, formerly Heaven, that night, Alonzo beeped his horn. What's up, NASDAQ, he called out. NASDAQ, a thuggish and dim-witted rapper signed to Hits INC, stuck his head through the open passenger's window. Hey, where's Big Man? He went to L.A., Alonzo said. How are things at the Hits factory? Yo, I'm ready to jump ship, NASDAQ said, dangling some bait. I bet you are, Alonzo said. Man, I've known Gambino since he was Donald Jones. I was the first artist he signed. Damn, was it that long ago? That's going back like 10 years. That's going back like 6 years. 7, and my album hadn't even come out in all that time. He keeps telling me I'm gonna get my time to shine. He tells me, just be patient. How patient can one ninja be? I'm doing all these guest spots, but I'm not seeing any real paper. Me and mine need to eat, you know. Alonzo nodded for Nasdaq to move as Vanessa wobbled toward the car on Mustafa's arm. Nasdaq held the door open like he was her footman, his eyes hungrily taking in the ensemble, a microscopic denim miniskirt, stilettos, and a baby tee that read, "Je adore Dior." After much cooing and billing, she and Mustafa disentangled themselves for the night. Alonzo resumed the conversation as soon as Mustafa departed. Your boy got an album out in record time, he said as Nasdaq reclaimed his position leaning against the passenger window. Yo, he is not my boy, Nasdaq said, hoping sexy Vanessa might for once acknowledge his presence. Gambino's boy, yeah, not mine. I wish we could give him back to you. We don't want him. Who are you talking about? Vanessa said, flipping down the mirror to check her makeup, even though it was 2 in the morning and she was on her way home. Let me guess. A week after quitting, getting fired from Triple Large, Daryl had inked a recording deal with Gambino's Hits INC label. His first album, Country Pimpin', released under the name The Mac, was out in no time, since he had already recorded most of it using studio time that was billed to various TLE artists. All those exorbitant bills that Imani was always on his ass about. His album had barely cleared platinum status, but the way he strutted around, you think it was certified triple diamond. Alonzo had run into Gambino inside and graciously congratulated him on the success his label was enjoying. Never far from a bottle of champagne, Gambino raised his crest in appreciation. What can I say, Ninja? My cup runneth over. But obviously, things were not coming up roses for everyone at the Hits Inc. camp. Your album should have been out a long time ago, Alonzo goaded the disgruntled Nasdaq. You serious about leaving? Yeah, dead ass serious. Can you talk to the big man? Sure, Alonzo said. But why don't you reach your boy the Mac a lesson? Why don't you teach your boy the Mac a lesson first? Like what? Nasdaq asked, distracted by his close proximity to Vanessa's gorgeous bronze legs. And he's not my boy. You think he needs all that ice? Alonzo rubbed Vanessa's leg. Other men like to look, but only he could touch. Looks like it weighs more than he does. Nasdaq chuckled in agreement. The size and weight of Daryl's jewels seemed to grow in direct proportion to his ego. And it's all tacky, ugly garbage, Vanessa added, brushing on a fresh goatee of lip gloss. A fresh coat of lip gloss. Why don't you grab some of that? Bet he cried like a baby, Alonzo said. While biting his lips, Vanessa managed to get out. I never liked him, as if she ever liked anyone. Clown him, Alonzo continued. Lamont will like that. And you need some ends, right? I know somebody who pay you for that junk. That all? Nasdaq said. I'm on it. Okay, then we'll see what you can do for you, Alonzo said. Since she missed the first part of their conversation, Vanessa asked, see what we can do about what? Nasdaq wants to join the Triple Large family, Alonzo said, turning the key in the ignition. At last, Vanessa turned her liquid gaze on Nasdaq. He stepped away from the car and smiled hopefully. We'll see, she said, and the corners of her glossy mouth curled up into a faint smile. Chapter 50, Passing Me By. Or are we reading 50? Yeah, 46 through 50. Okay. Chapter 50, Passing Me By. Jim, it's me. Yeah, I know. Mimi's name had come up on his cell. She'd just been sitting next to him in the studio. She said she was going to the bathroom. What's the problem? Mimi downstairs in 5. I need to get away from Big Aunt. 5 minutes later, Jim and I walked out of the hit factory and saw Mimi huddled in the doorway down the block, sucking on a cigarette. With her blue Yankees cap pulled down low over her Vuitton headscarf, her roots were growing out, so they had to be covered. Is this how it is? He said, You have to run away from your watchdog? A damn shame, ain't it? She stomped out her cigarette and started walking up the block. Where are you going? To eat. I need food. You walk? I thought you have a carriage waiting. I want to go to Virgil's for barbecue, she said. Continue to walk up the block. It's not too far. Reluctantly, Jim followed. I can't believe you left the funk shack, Mimi said 30 minutes ago, gnawing ravenously at a plate of ribs. You couldn't come to me, so I came to you as a favor. And I happen to know you're getting triple your usual fee. Jim nodded, and that. I was going to come up for your wedding anyway, Gemini said, shrugging, so I can kill two birds with one stone. And you're staying at the Four Seasons? You're balling out of control. Your label is paying. I don't want to work tonight. Let's go to Foyer. Foyer? It's the club. It's hip hop night. I don't like clubs. I'd rather go back to the studio. You go. I just can't. I'll just come by later. Go with who? By myself? You must have a lot of friends here. Jim, she pleaded. It'll be fun. We'll listen to some music, have a few drinks. I don't drink. You'll have a soda and we'll have a little fun, and then we'll go back to work later. Fine, Jim said wearily, as if he just agreed to spend the day picking cotton in the hot sun. 2 hours later, Mimi was on the dance floor, feeling lovely after four Caprianas shouting, I don't know what you heard about me, but can't get $1 out of me. No Cadillac, no perms you can't see. Jim was in front of her, looking glum, rocking imperceptibly on his heels. Mustafa showed up with Vanessa, who was looking aggressively fabulous in her diamond diva necklace. She had it made, a white baby tee that was airbrushed with the slogan, hated by many, confronted by none, a gift from a stylist, and a tiny red satin jogging shorts with white piping that said kiss on one cheek and my on the other, from Patricia Fields. Coming and going, she looked like a walking billboard that was advertising bitchiness. Vanessa gave the unfamiliar man with Mimi the once over and let her disdain show. Jim was wearing a plain white t-shirt with the fresh barbecue stain, extra baggy gray sweatpants, and plastic Adidas slides over sweat socks. Vanessa looked like she wanted to make a citizen's arrest for the fashion crimes he was committing. His boxers were visible, and they weren't even Calvin or Ralph or Tommy. They looked like Hanes. When Mimi introduced her companion, Vanessa initially couldn't be bothered to shake his hand. Then Mimi stressed, Gemini, the super producer. Vanessa spent the next 2 hours cuddled next to him in the booth like they were best friends. She identified him as a potential client for her yet to open image consultancy firm. After an hour, feeling Gemini was sufficiently befriended, Vanessa and Mustafa split to move on to Chromosome. Jim wanted to leave with two, but Mimi wasn't having it. He finally got her outside, practically carried her. Where do you live? Jim asked. You need to go home. Downtown, Mimi gurgled as he tried to hold her up. The foyer doorman hailed them a cab. Where downtown? Jim kept asking her. What's your address? Downtown, Mimi kept answering. Downtown. Jim dug into her purse for her phone as the cab driver waited impatiently for her an address. What are you doing? Mimi wheezed. I'm calling Aunt, Jim said, scrolling through her numbers. Don't you have his number in here? Mimi fell across Jim's lap. Don't! She grabbed for the door handle. I think I'm gonna be sick. No, sick in my car, the driver yelled, looking over into the back seat. Get out! Jim opened the door, but Mimi only coughed while the foyer doorman and some random club goers watched sympathetically. When she fell back into the seat, Jim told the driver, the Four Seasons, please. 20 minutes later, Mimi was passed out in his bed. She woke up at 8 in the morning. Jim, she whispered, realizing she was staring at his bony back. My head hurts. That's what you deserve, he said. Where's Lamont, by the way? I don't think he's going to appreciate you not coming home last night. And don't involve me in your drama. Don't worry, Mimi whispered. He's in L.A. He's not getting back until tomorrow. Jim rolled over. You better get going, he said, careful not to stay on his side of the bed. I'll see you later. Careful to stay on his side of the bed. I'll see you later. He's working tonight. We are working tonight. He looked over at his cell phone, began vibrating on the bedside table. He answered, "Hi, Imani," he said, making a face at Mimi. He listened for a second. "Oh, really? Well, we went to the dinner last night and then to some club. Well, we couldn't go back to the session." He put his middle finger up to Mimi. "Your princess was way too woozy to work, so we just called it a night. I'm sure she's at home asleep." He hung up and said, "Your peoples are looking for you." "Whatever," Mimi said, crawling back under the covers. "What are you doing?" Jim said irritably, wanting her to leave. He did a lot of business with Lamont's label, and he wished he quit with these little girl games that could adversely affect his income. "I'm hungry," she said. "Order us some breakfast." Jim leaned over and grabbed the room service menu. "Here," he said, tossing it at her. "Order it yourself." Mama Jackson strolled into the cavernous lobby of the Four Seasons Hotel with Jeremy, the wedding planner, trailing close on Mama Stewart Weitzman heels. "Remind me why we're having breakfast here?" Jeremy asked. "Because I hate the plaza," Mama replied. The plaza was a fine place to have a bar mitzvah or a wedding. It had old-fashioned prestige that way, but she never stayed there or dined there. It wasn't her style. The indisputably more chic Four Seasons was. So Mimi was her final so Mimi has her final fitting today, Jeremy asked once they were seated in the dining area of the lobby. "Yes," Mama said. "Vera has taken wonderful care of us. Jeremy looked up and said, "Vera, Mama said she has taken wonderful care of us."
We lost you. Almost famous. If you could hear me, I'm gonna drop you. Try to come back up. All right, you back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm there. I can hear you. Sorry. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, and one of the two people that could push through called. So, okay, we're almost done with this chapter. We got like a page and a half left. Okay. Let me see where we were. Okay, so she woke up in his bed and she's hungry. Oh, Mama Jackson them is at the Four Seasons where they're at too. Okay. Okay. She said, "Vera has taken wonderful care of us." Jeremy looked up and squinted across the lobby. "Hey, there she is now." "Vera?" Mama exclaimed. But when she turned to look, she didn't see Vera Wang. Instead, there went the bride. Mimi was hurrying through the lobby, looking a fright. Jeremy threw his arms up in the air to attract Mimi's attention, but Mama reached over and pulled it back down. "Don't make a scene, Jeremy." She picked up her cell and dialed Mimi's number, thinking, "Why is my future daughter-in-law sneaking out of a hotel at 10 in the morning looking so bedraggled?" When Lamont had called Mama this morning from LA, he said that Mimi had left the studio last night and never returned, and then she hadn't answered her phone all night. Now Mama had an awful feeling. Lamont's fiance was, sad to say, no Kendra. Mimi was always far too busy to go shopping or to eat lunch with Mama, and she become overtly disinterested in the wedding preparations. It's a fairy tale any woman would love to star in. Mama had gently scolded her at the last dress fitting. Appreciate how lucky you are, dear. Being an understanding woman, Mama allowed Mimi her tantrums here and there. It was just that things had begun to overwhelm her. Lamont was happier than Mama had ever seen him. That was all that had mattered. Mimi would have just disappeared from view when Mama heard her answer her cell phone. Mama detected the end of a yawn in her. Hello? Tired, dear? Yes, Mimi said. I just woke up. Um, I'm still in bed. Oh, really? Mama thought, wondering what was going on here. I know we have the fitting at 1, Mimi said. I won't be late. Perfect, Mama said. See you there. She looked at Jeremy. He didn't need to be involved in this any further. Excuse me, Jeremy. He nodded, thinking she was going to get up. After he sat there for 30 seconds, he suddenly realized she wanted him to leave, so he did. Alonzo, Mama said, after reaching her son at home. Where's Vanessa? In bed, he said. Get her up now. Vanessa got up. She got on the phone. Were you out with Mimi last night? Mama questioned. Yes, Vanessa answered groggily. I saw her at foyer. And then where did you go? I left. She stayed there with Gemini. With Gemini? Who is that? A producer, Vanessa said, waking up now. Mama never asked to speak to her. Why? Mama wondered if she would reveal anything to Vanessa, then decided Vanessa might be useful for once. Because Lamont couldn't reach her last night and he was worried. Big Aunt said she disappeared on him. She wasn't with Aunt at foyer, Vanessa confirmed. And now, despite her leaving the Four Seasons, Vanessa was completely awake now. You don't say, she smiled. I'm distressed, Mama said, uncomfortably admitting that to Vanessa. But she could hear in Vanessa's voice that she was holding back information. What can you tell me? Vanessa lay in bed, twirling a strand of hair around her index finger, wondering how she should answer that loaded question. Things she considered. Marc Jacobs was Marc Jacobs was talking about naming a new bag after Lamont's triple large princess, and Mimi was getting a Vogue cover, and Revlon was about to sign her to a contract and not to hawk some disgusting anti-aging product. And was the word that Lamont was forgetting the prenuptial lately. All Vanessa had heard was bad news. Mimi kept whining about the Olga incident. Just to shut her up, Vanessa had said, if you're so mad about it, get even. Maybe she had. But with that bum Gemini? Mama thought Mimi was innocent and sweet, while the old witch was always on Vanessa's case. But had Vanessa ever cheated on Alonzo? No, she had not. Not with another man. All I know is that Gemini is staying at the Four Seasons, Vanessa said casually. Mama loudly gulped air. But we shouldn't jump to any conclusions, Vanessa said. Mama sat up very straight. What else are we to think? What was she wearing? Vanessa asked, looking to seal the deal. Jeans, a little pink jacket, and a baseball cap over a long scarf. Vanessa remarked, attempting to sound disappointed. That's the very same thing she had on last night. Mama hung up, wondering what she should do now. Vanessa went back to sleep. And that's the end of chapter 50.
Oh, shit getting good though. I wonder how this about to end. I don't know if this marriage gonna go through.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Mm, mm, mm.
Hmm.
Well, about the same time tomorrow, y'all, I put Almost Famous link in the chat. If you aren't subscribed, run over there and subscribe to her. And if anybody run across this replay and y'all on TikTok, come to TikTok and subscribe to us both.
Hey, thank y'all for listening. See y'all tomorrow. We'll finish out the book.
Okay, thanks, Almost Famous. Thanks, everybody that pulled up. Thanks for listening. And anybody that catches the replay, thanks for tuning in as well. I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
Bye bye.